you made your house a reality. Homeschooling yourself on loans, color-coding listings, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. If you can ace house hunting, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. Changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Nothing to do this week? Don't miss another event. Go to blacksinsanantonio.com for our event calendar. The home of the largest business directory in San Antonio with an African American focus. Sign up today for our weekly e-blast and text message alerts. Help us make this a better community. Connect, empower, grow.
Please join me as I host this year's Black Worship Clergy Hall of Fame dinner. Monday, February 18th at the Antioch Sports Complex. Come experience an evening of fun, fellowship, and food as we induct Pastor Robert P. Forte Sr., pastor of the Mount Gilead Baptist Church, and Pastor Ray D. Brown, pastor of the Resurrection Baptist Church. I look forward to seeing you there. Pastor Kevin Nelson, be blessed.
Because it matters to you, it matters to us. It is Black Video News with your host, Keith Scott. Black Friday Live, San Antonio. Here we go.
I want to thank you all for tuning in to Black Friday Live. I'm your host, Keith Scott. Right here in the new year, you know where we come with hot topics and subject matter, always with a special guest. Joining us today right here on Black Friday Live is really a unique guest. This guest travels all over the country. Been to 20 countries, all over the United States in her field. She's also the founder and principal of Engage Between, Miss Malii Watts Carolyn. Welcome to Black Friday Live.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on the show. Now, you know, when I was reading your bio, you are interesting. You're going to have to educate us. But before we go into what you're doing, what you've been doing for over a decade, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I love the work I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do it because I believe in it. I enjoy going out of the country and learning, but I even more so enjoy coming into the country and looking around and learning from the people that are our neighbors and that we don't know yet, right? What else? What else would you like to know?
Well, I mean, you when you talk about, 20 different countries and the work that you do on an international level, dealing and seeing a lot of different cultures. But tell us exactly, because for my viewers out there, Malii has also been and trained executives and been in the Fortune 500 with executives with training. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Educate us.
So I learn with people, essentially, right? So whether it's executives or whether it's the people that are, on the ground doing the work, it's about learning how to work and cooperate effectively. Right? I base the work from a basis of culture. What is culture? It's simply how we do things around here, right? Whether it's national cultures, US, Germany, India, France, whatever, yes? Or it's in the United States. Maybe that's generations. Maybe that's gender, maybe that's race, etc. Right? So there are these cultures, plural, to which we belong, and we're learning how to practically come together and work effectively, right? So Engage Between works with organizations of all kinds to enhance their best technology, and that's their people, right? If people can learn better how to work alongside each other, innovate, collaborate, all of this, we can go further together.
So kind of changing the work environment, the space that you're in.
We come in, we do some training, maybe it's workshop facilitation, right? It depends on how they want to engage together.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about more in depth with the training, because, you know, when I was reading your bio, we're training executives in the Fortune 500 companies and in the government and nonprofit organizations. Give us a little more in detail.
So I think that people need to understand that this is not just an attitudinal type of thing.
Right.
It's not soft and warm and fluffy. It can be. Right? And when I first came into the field, was really altruistic and still, again, very optimistic about the work and believing in it, but thinking that I had to convince people, right, of the value of others, right, and of the validity of others' perspectives, yes? If that happens, great. Right? But what I'm doing in there is to work with people to see things differently, right? To see the same picture in a different light, to see it from others' perspectives, right? And we're learning, you know, what we bring to the table culturally, right? So why is it that you're behaving in the way that you are, that you're leading, that you're managing conflict, that you're you know, looking to excel in the way that you are? Why is that happening, right? And then how can you manage others? Diverse others, right? And diverse others doesn't mean brown others or women others or that. You know, diversity is the variety within the whole.
And I was getting ready to say that, because does the diversity have a role in it too also?
It does. And some people think, you know, we cannot do this work yet because we don't have diversity, right? Everyone has diversity, right? It may not be as visual as others.
And sometimes it's not as visual.
Exactly. I went to grad school in Vermont and earned a degree in intercultural management there. And
in Vermont?
In Vermont, yes.
How'd you end up in Vermont?
School for International Training is based out of Vermont. It's under the umbrella of World Learning, and this is an institution that started with the Peace Corps, right? It trained Peace Corps volunteers to go out into the field to do what they do.
Internationally,
right? And to be effective in doing that work, right? Great if I'm great at, you know, interviewing or accounting or whatever the case may be. But if I cannot work with people, if I cannot communicate with them successfully, that work's not going to take root. Right? So we go into the training room. Hey, what is it that you're experiencing? Usually it's a problem. Right? This isn't getting done on time. There's a lot of attrition here. You know, we need people to step up and lead in ways that they are not, whatever the case may be, right? So some of it's proactive, some of it's reactive, right? And it's an investment in their best technology, their people. So we learn, what is it that we're doing? Why is it that we're doing that way? How can we practically change? How we can collaborate in different ways? So if we're two generations in the workplace, right? We come from different eras, right? I grew up with the computer at my fingertips. My mother, for instance.
Baby boomers or whatever.
The boomers, right? They didn't grow up with that technology. That doesn't mean that they can't have a handle on it, right? But our minds are taught to think differently. You know, we learn that in school, etc. So how can we come together in the workplace? And now we have, I think, 5 generations in the workplace, right?
I'm the X generation, and it was.
Are you an Xer?
Yeah. Okay. So it's just a short period with us, but
So I'm on the cusp between an Xer and a millennial. And I claim millennials sometimes, and then there's something. It's all kinds of classifications. It doesn't matter to know all the different details. What it matters to know is, how can we come together at the same table? Who needs to be at that table, and how we can have an effective conversation. We don't need to know all the things. So whether it's executives that are in a very knowing position, right? Or any other level of the hierarchy, it's about a learning orientation, and it's about who we need to have at the table so that we can, again, get the work done better and best.
Okay, so you've done this on an international level too, right? And you're still doing it on an international level.
Yes.
So when you go to a different culture, how do you kind of, fit in and address, the different culture?
I acknowledge that I am different than the people that are around me. And
how many different languages do you speak?
I'm really good at English. So English is my native language. I speak some Japanese. I speak some Spanish. And right now I am learning American Sign Language.
Yeah, and American Sign Language, because you're doing that in how many different countries as well, learning?
Well, ASL, American Sign Language, is in different countries around the world because it was an export, if you will. But I'm learning it here to practice it here as I can, and I think it weaves nicely into the work that I do when I get to that point where I can do the interpreting professionally rather, because it's all about, again, cultural spaces, knowing each other, interpreting meaning, right?
Okay. Well, that's pretty interesting. So what's on the menu for 2019? What do you have in store? Where you headed?
Where am I headed? We'll see. I got some domestic trips lined up.
Okay,
right?
some domestic.
I'm looking to develop business here in Texas. I grew up in Texas in the summers.
Right.
You might see that I'm from Chicago, right?
Yeah, from the Windy City. I saw
From the Windy
that.
City, yes.
What's Engage Between? Just tell us a little more about Engage Between.
Engage between the differences real and perceived. Right? Engage between that gap that you're not stepping over, right? Because there's not knowledge there, right? Or there hasn't been an introduction, or that person seems different than me, right? We tend to mentor people, to lunch with people, to golf with people, or whatever the case may be, who look like us, right? Who are familiar to us, right? So you look like my cousin.
Yeah, okay. Is he in Chicago?
He's in Chicago. He's in Chicago.
Okay.
And, maybe I have an affinity towards you or others that look like you, right? Because I'm familiar with that, right?
Okay.
But the way I grew up, coming to San Antonio every summer, I was exposed to a different world than I was going to school in Chicago, right? I came here and I rode horses and I swam in the Guadalupe and I saw how people interacted differently with each other, right?
Okay.
And so I am more comfortable than I used to be with differences around me, right? And with being the difference in some situations as well.
Right.
Engage Between is simply about coming together across those things, coming together across the people that we have been and becoming, more connected, more united together.
Yeah, that's good stuff. How can my viewers get connected with you if they want more information or somebody's interested in Engage Between?
So engagebetween.com. There is a contact form there.
Okay.
If there are businesses, organizations, decision makers looking to open a conversation, I offer a conversation free of charge that we can just scope out. Is Engage Between something that can offer you something to get to the next level?
Well, that's good stuff, Malii. Well, thank you for sharing your information with us. That's what this is all about. If you're making an impact in your industry, if you're making an impact in the community, please send me an email. Let's get you on Black Friday Live. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. You can send me an email, kscott@blackvideonews.com. I want to thank my guest, Malii, for sharing her story, her information, making an impact. Thanks for being on Black Friday Live. We'll see you next time. I'm your host, Keith Scott. As always, be encouraged, folks.